have to be your biggest fan.
Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Nikki aka Ada Canada. If this is your first time on my channel or if you are a returning subscriber, welcome. I do hope you get to stick around and gain something valuable. Today's topic, I'm going to be talking about universities in Canada with the cheapest or the most affordable tuition for 2023/2024 academic session. This video has been a long time coming. Many of you have asked me for an updated video because I've done quite a number of videos like this in the past. I decided that now would be the best time to actually make this kind of video because application window is about to open for 2024 academic intake. So if you are interested in studying in Canada by next year, you definitely will need this video. If you are a first timer, if you're new to the idea of Canada, looking for schools, affordable schools that you can attend, promise you will definitely need to watch this video till the end so that you can have that basic knowledge and then go ahead and do your own individual research. I came up with 8 different universities across the entire nation of Canada that I considered to be relatively cheap. Some of these universities, I've talked about them in my previous videos on cheap tuition schools, affordable schools, and what have you, and I'm going to be mentioning them again. So if you have been following me before now, you're going to find that some of the schools are very familiar. This won't be the first time that I'll be mentioning them. Just before I go ahead to start talking about the schools and showing you the tuition rates and all whatnot, there are some few things that I wanted to bring to your attention. The first is that the tuition rate is relative to your program of interest. Tuition is never the same across the board. For example, if we are looking at a particular school, say the University of Alberta, if you wanted to study business administration, whether at an undergraduate level or at a graduate level, the tuition that you will pay, the rate is based on that particular program, and it is going to be different from somebody who wants to study engineering and from another person who wants to study something like arts or social sciences. So tuition is always relative to your program of interest. The second point that I wanted to make is that all of these universities have a DLI. DLI is Designated Learning Institution. I have talked about DLIs before. I have even talked about how you will be able to know if a school has a DLI. I've showed that in a demo before, so please check out my other videos, which I would link somewhere up on the screen for you so that you can see for yourself. All the schools that I mentioned are DLI, meaning that they are accredited, they are recognized in Canada, and they also have programs that are PGWP-eligible, meaning postgraduate work permit eligible. This is a work permit that you have to apply for after your program of study in Canada. If you intend to study in Canada, I always advise to go for DLI institutions that have programs that are PGWP eligible. The 8 universities that I'm about to list for you right now in this video all have DLI, which means they are accredited, they are recognized in Canada. It's not some quack school somewhere. They offer degrees, whether it's diploma, certificate, bachelor's, master's, PhD, whatever it is you're looking for, they have it. These schools have programs that are PGWP eligible. You will be able to get a work permit after you have completed your program of study. Another thing that I want to mention is that it is more expensive as an international student to study a bachelor's degree program than it is a master's degree or a PhD program. The reason for this is because you spend more time in school when you're studying for a bachelor's degree than you would for a master's degree. And again, the rates are just completely different. I really don't know why, but you are going to find out soon enough. So moving on to the list of universities with relatively cheaper tuition or more affordable tuition in Canada in no particular order. The first university is the University of Victoria. The University of Victoria is located in the city of Victoria, which is in British Columbia. We are on the University of Victoria tuition page. This is right down specific to the tuition page, and I'm going to have the links in the description box. The way that they have set up this tuition page is that they have a box of questions that you're going to put in some of the information, and it's going to calculate an estimate. The estimate that they give you is basically exactly what it is. It is an estimate, and it's only there to show you or give you an idea of how much your tuition is going to be like. So just because you see a particular value in the estimate, it doesn't mean that that is exactly what you are going to pay by the time you get admission. And I've said this so many times before, you will only know exactly down to the T how much your tuition is going to cost when you get admission, because that information will be in your admission letter and it will be in the documentation that you need to apply for a study visa. The following tuition and student fees are current as of May 1st, 2023. The first part has already been filled. If you are interested in an undergraduate program, you would select undergraduate program. And if you are interested, if you have a particular faculty that you're interested in, whether it's business, education, engineering, just select whichever one. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to choose all other undergraduate programs as opposed to being specific. And after that, just click on estimate fees, and then it shows you the tuition fee estimate in Canadian dollars. Any undergraduate program that does not belong to those specific faculties, it means that what you're going to spend is close to $30,000 in tuition, plus some extra additional fees. These are like dues that you get to pay every semester, which brings the total up to almost 31,000 Canadian dollars for one academic year or one academic session, which is 2 terms. If you wanted to find out information for a different program, for example, if you're interested in education, you can go back and change the faculty to education and then click on the estimate, and then when you scroll down, you see that the estimate is roughly around the same thing for 1 year. If we want to look at the graduate side of things, we will go here at the second drop bar and switch to graduate. If you are interested in law, you can put law, but here I'm just going to switch to graduate programs, and we're going to select a field of study. There are so many different fields, there are so many different graduate fields ranging from masters all the way down to PhD. But for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to go specifically. You can do that for yourself. But I'm going to select this first one here, which is master's degree, or see below for master's programs with specific fees. And then click on estimate fee. This fee installment for international students for 1 term is $2,692. This is just 1 term, 1 semester. Your estimate will be close to $5,000 for 1 year. So if I want to go specific now, for example, I'm going to choose something like a double degree in nursing and health informatics. This is just an example for those of you who are interested in coming to study a graduate program in nursing. For a graduate program in nursing, you can see that the rate is different. All right, the rate is different, and we are seeing $5,439 for 1 semester, which means in 1 year you're going to be spending roughly around 10,000 Canadian dollars. If you wanted something in community development, like a Master of Community Development, same thing. And when you scroll down, you see that the rate has also changed. You can see that for the University of Victoria, tuition is cheaper on the graduate side of things than on the undergraduate side. This is what you will see across many of these institutions in Canada. You're going to notice that it's actually more expensive studying for an undergraduate degree than it is for a graduate degree. So the second university on my list with the cheapest tuition or more affordable tuition for international students is the famous Memorial University of Newfoundland. So over here we have the undergraduate admission page, and we can see that new students starting in the fall of 2023, which is basically this semester, this September and moving forward. For international students, your estimate is at $20,790, which almost $21,000 for an undergraduate degree. You also have to note that there are some extra fees, some extra dues that are mandatory. and these will be added to whatever it is your tuition is. For residence and accommodation, you do not necessarily need to worry about residence and accommodation. You don't necessarily have to stay in school. I find that staying inside of a university campus is actually more expensive than staying off campus. So that's why I don't usually include residence or meal plans. I always advise people to try and stay off campus because it is cheaper for you if you stay off campus. We have the graduate page for the same Newfoundland and Labrador University, which is Memorial University. And if we scroll down, if you're interested in a graduate diploma, this would be your tuition estimate for that program, which is about $6,390. If you're interested in a master's program that doesn't fall under these categories here, if you're interested in this type of master's program that is not specific to these ones here, your estimate is around 10,000 Canadian dollars for 2 years. And if you are interested in a master's program which is 1 year, then your estimate is $6,654. So you can already see, again, with this school, we have that graduate tuition is so much cheaper than undergraduate tuition. If you are interested in any of the master's programs within this category, social work, education, nursing, technology management, this is what your tuition estimate is going to look like, which is $15,600. Again, this kind of highlights what I mentioned earlier in the video. The rates are different depending on your program of study, your faculty, where you got admission. It depends on what you want to study. The third university on my list with cheap or more affordable tuition for international students is Brandon University. Brandon University is located in Manitoba. This is another popular school that I have covered in my previous video. So if you have been following me, you should know Brandon University. Here I have Brandon University graduate fee table for international students, and this is for the session 2023-2024. I'm just going to increase this just so that you'll see it better. So yeah, for the session 2023-2024, if you are interested in a graduate program in education, taking on 15 credit hours, guys, I have talked about credit hour and how the credit hour system works. So I would encourage you guys to check out my previous videos on cheap tuition because I explained in detail the credit units and credit hour system. So 15 credit hours is roughly about 1 semester, and in 1 semester for a master's degree or a graduate degree in education, your estimate would be $8,597, which is almost 9,000 Canadian dollars, and this is for 1 semester. If you are taking something like 4 courses, for example, if whatever your credit unit or credit hours is less, for example 12 credit hours, then obviously your tuition will be less. So the more credit hours that you have for your program, the more your tuition will be, because there is a particular cost or a particular rate per credit hour. If you are interested in a graduate program in music for 1 semester here, which is about 15 credit hours, your tuition is almost $9,000 here, almost $9,000, and it goes down, same thing. If you're interested in a graduate program in rural development, this is what your estimate would look like for 1 semester, which is about 8,000, almost 8,500. Psychiatric nursing is a little bit cheaper for 1 semester. Total is going to be almost at $7,000. One thing I'm going to say is that Brandon University is not a very big school, so they don't necessarily have a variety of programs, but this is what that they have available. So moving on to the undergraduate table for Brandon University. If you are interested in an arts program for 2023-2024 academic intake undergraduate degree, if you're taking 30 credit hours, I believe 30 credit hours amounts to 1 year, which is 2 semesters, 1 academic session, your tuition estimate would be $18,399. Now we can see that in the previous 2 universities, University of Victoria and Memorial University, the undergraduate tuition estimate was more expensive. But we can see that with Brandon University, for an undergraduate program, your estimate will be less than $20,000 for 1 year. An education program at an undergraduate level, 30 credit hours. This is what your estimate will be. So, which is a little bit more than someone who wants to take an arts program, but still within the same range, which is less than 20,000 Canadian dollars. So this, I would say, is relatively cheaper at an undergraduate level compared to the first two universities that I mentioned. And if we go down, we still see in music, in science is a little bit more expensive over here. We see it's 19,000, almost getting to 20,000, but still less than 20,000. And if you are pursuing a health studies course at Brandon University at an undergraduate level, then it is set at $20,000 for 1 year. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that Brandon University has a very high acceptance rate for international students. I cannot remember exactly what percentage the acceptance rate is, but I will say that the acceptance rate is quite high. So consider applying to Brandon University for your bachelor's degree or for your master's or PhD program. The fourth school on my list of universities with relatively cheap tuition or more affordable tuition is the University of Northern British Columbia. This is the tuition information page for international students intending to study at the University of Northern British Columbia. And if we scroll down, there's some information that obviously they want us to see. The first thing that I want to highlight here is that starting from May 2023 intake, there will be an international admission deposit of $1,500, and this is non-refundable except in cases of study permit refusal by the IRCC. It is applicable if you are coming to study an undergraduate or a master's degree at the University of Northern British Columbia. And the remaining balance is what you will pay when you eventually get the admission and get a visa and come to start school. Scroll down to the tuition and fees section. We have an undergraduate tuition and fees table here. Full-time based on 30 credits per year. 30 credits means one academic session split into 2 semesters. Tuition estimate is set at 23, almost 24,000 Canadian dollars for an undergraduate degree program. There is some extra explanation here for international students which you can read. There are some extra fees here. You don't necessarily have to spend $960 on books. You can find used textbooks which are definitely way cheaper. But then again, they put this value here as an estimate. It doesn't mean you're going to spend close to $1,000 in a year on textbooks. This is your total estimate, and this would help you budget. But let's move on to the graduate tuition and fees section. For a basic full-time tuition for an international student, which is 3 semesters per year. By 3 semesters, we mean the fall semester, which is from September to December, the winter semester, which is from January to April, and the spring-summer semester, which runs from May to August. As a graduate student, your estimate is set at $7,494 per year for a master's degree. Going by the information they have, in 2 years you'll be spending almost 15,000 Canadian dollars on your master's program. So the next school that I have on my list is Mount Allison University. Mount Allison University is located in the province of New Brunswick, which is in the easternmost part of Canada. And over here we have the tuition estimates page from Mount Allison University. If we scroll down, we have information on 2023 tuition and fees. However, if we scroll down some more here, we're going to see the tuition estimate for an undergraduate program for a full-time international student. This is a flat cost. It is 20,210 Canadian dollars. So a little bit cheaper than the University of Northern British Columbia for international students. This is within the same range as Memorial University, so definitely worth considering. If you're interested instead in a master's degree, you can scroll down and click on this plus sign here. You're going to see more information. For a Master of Science tuition, effective September 2019, I don't know if there have been any updates made to this. 2019 is a long time ago. For the first 6 terms is $1,670 per term. The first 6 terms, ideally, I am guessing would be 2 years, because if you're a graduate student, you would actually be studying for 3 semesters. 3 semesters will make up up a year, because you'll be doing research in the 3rd semester or what have you, or any other extra courses that you have to take. People who are in research-based masters, sometimes they don't just study for 2 semesters in one session. Sometimes it is 3 semesters that make up one academic session for them. 3 semesters or 3 terms will make up 1 year. If my guesstimate is right, you have to multiply this value by 6 to get what the total will be for 2 years. If you happen to be studying longer than 6 terms, anything after the 6th term, you would spend $712 for 1 semester until you graduate. And there's also, of course, the extra mandatory dues which you have to pay. It's added to your tuition. The next school on the list of universities with cheap tuition or more affordable tuition is the University of Regina. The University of Regina is located in the city of Regina in Saskatchewan. Over here, I have the tuition page, which I'm going to link. Our focus is going to be on 2023 fall semester. So if you're interested in an undergraduate international fee schedule, you would click on this. It's going to take you to a new page over here. This is the undergraduate section for 5 standard classes. We're going to go with 5 standard classes as an undergraduate student. This area that is highlighted in green here, and it's 15 credit hours, basically 1 semester. Faculty of Arts, for 1 semester, your tuition estimate is almost $12,000 here. In Business Administration, your tuition estimate is almost 14,000 Canadian dollars. If you're in Education, it's $12,191. If you're in Engineering, it's about $13,000, and it goes on and on. This is your base tuition for 1 semester, which is 5 standard classes. If you're taking 4 courses, which is 12 credit hours, then this would be your tuition estimate over here, depending on which program that you are in. This is the page for the graduate tuition fee for the University of Regina. Again, the way that they have done this is that they have kind of divided it based on your program of choice or your faculty. I'm going to scroll down to the international student table, which is this second table. If you're taking 12 credit hours, which is right around 4 courses in 1 semester, your total will be these numbers that are typed in bold. If you're doing a Master of Engineering for 12 credit hours, this is your estimate, which is $6,435 for 1 semester. In 1 year, you spend close to 13,000 Canadian dollars for Master of Engineering. If you're interested in a Master of Nursing, this would be your tuition estimate, $6,435, and it goes on and on. We have computer science or data science and journalism, which is literally the same thing. The next university on my list of cheap universities or most affordable universities is the University of Saskatchewan. The University of Saskatchewan is located in the city of Saskatoon, which happens to be the capital of that province. Now over here, I have the tuition information page for the University of Saskatchewan. They've actually updated their page to include the rates for 2023-2024. These rates are effective from September to August next year. We're going to scroll down and we're going to click on the graduate tuition and fees. From the graduate tuition and fees page, there are 3 terms in 1 academic year. If you are pursuing a PhD program at the University of Saskatchewan, this is what your estimate is looking like. As a PhD student, you pay the same fee, the same tuition as a domestic student, 4,932 Canadian dollars. This is definitely cheap as far as I'm concerned. If you're interested in a master's degree, specifically a thesis-based or project-based master's degree program, this is where it is divided, so you do not pay the same rate as a domestic student. For 1 academic year, tuition estimate is 11,097 Canadian dollars for 1 year. If you are interested in a course-based master's program or a postgraduate diploma, a PGD, this would be your rate here. It's based on how many courses that you need. You pay for each class that you're taking. Each class is 1,794 Canadian dollars. Let's say your first semester of studies, you're taking 4 classes for a course-based master's program. You are going to multiply this value by 4, and that will give you your grand total of your tuition estimate for that semester. There are some specific master's programs here that have special tuition rates. For example, a Master of Education. This is completely different from what we have before. If you're in a Master of Arts in Economics, Master of Engineering, you can see that the prices are just different. These are like very specific programs that have different tuition rates. The last school on my list of universities with cheap tuition or more affordable tuition is Simon Fraser University. Simon Fraser University is located in the province of British Columbia. So over here on this page, we have the tuition information for Simon Fraser University. Starting with undergraduate degree, base tuition, approximately 5 courses, would be 16,000 Canadian dollars. Look closely at these extra fees and you will find that your grand total is not necessarily going to be this amount. Books and supplies, this is an estimate. Like I said before, you must not spend $1,000 buying books. In order to save cost, you can get used textbooks. Here for residents, we have 3,352 Canadian dollars. If you deduct this amount from this total, you will see that your grand total is going to come down. This residence means accommodation, university hostel. And I've said this before, you don't necessarily have to stay in a university hostel because those are more expensive than living off campus. I always advise people to live off campus. It is so much cheaper. This does not apply to you. Residence meal plan is if you're staying in a university hostel, you're going to be eating whatever it is that they cook for people that are staying in that university hostel. You don't need this. Stay off campus so that you can eat whatever it is you like and you will not be constrained to eating this residence meal plan and spending money on food that you do not want to eat or that is not what you're used to. If we take away this $3,000 here for the meal plan and this $3,000 here for the residence, you see that you're only left with the supplementary fees, which are obviously mandatory. Your grand total is not going to be $24,000. It's actually going to be less than $20,000. Simon Fraser is relatively a cheap university for undergraduates. Moving down to the graduate section, the tuition here is very specific to a full-time research master's program. The tuition estimate is 2,067 Canadian dollars for one term. For about 2 or 3 terms, depending on your program, that is going to be this value, $2,067 multiplied by 3, somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 Canadian dollars for 1 year. Take away this value for residence, take away this value for meal plan. Guys, you do not need to stay inside the campus and spend more than is necessary, and you will see that your grand total is definitely less than 10,000 Canadian dollars at least. All right guys, so that is it for this video. These are the universities that have relatively cheap and affordable tuition despite the rising cost of education, despite the interest rates, the cost of living, inflation and everything going on in Canada. These schools are still relatively affordable. The links will be in the description box and also in the comment section for all of these schools for 2024 intake. So if you're intending to come study in Canada by next year, the application window is going to open as from October, late September, October, November, depending on the school. That is why I decided to bring this video to you now so that you can be aware. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you found it insightful. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel if you have not yet subscribed. Also share this video to anyone you know who is interested in studying in Canada but doesn't know where to start. Share this video with your friends, your family, your loved one, your foes. Turn on your post notifications so that you will never miss uploads when they drop. I will see you guys in my next video. Stay safe. Bye. Stay in the moon.